space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And we're here to talk about Stormy Weather, the 6th episode of Discovery's 4th season. And we've just found out, this is the Trek news, I suppose, that next week's Discovery is in fact going to be a mid-season finale. And Discovery's taking a bit of a break, coming back, did it say February?
Yeah, February. And it's not even mid-season, it's sort of 2/3 season.
Yeah, unless
you think it's only 10 episodes, I think it's 11 episodes. But if it's 11 episodes, it's only 4 episodes that we're coming back for.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I mean, we're assuming that what's going to happen is because we knew Prodigy was coming back for 5 episodes. So we're assuming that Discovery's going to wrap up next week for an inverted commas mid-season finale. Then we're going to get 5 episodes of Prodigy.
I just had a thought about this when it's coming back in mid-February. I wonder if they've changed it because that's when it's they're launching Paramount Plus. If they plan to roll back, so it won't be on Pluto if they do that.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, it could well be. I mean, we've not had
because they said that we haven't heard anything definitive, but they're saying early 22 and mid-February is early 22.
It definitely is, yeah. Having said that, there were a cinema near us that were meant to open early 2019, and I think it opened in May. But, you know.
Well, that's probably due to the pandemic and no one going to the cinema. It made no sense to open.
Oh, this was pre-pandemic, so 2019, before we'd even heard of it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think they just got delayed. But yeah. So yeah, you might be onto something there with
Yeah, I just thought of that when thinking, because 5 episodes of Prodigy, because they had no problem running Prodigy alongside it anyway at the start.
No, I mean it'd be quite a good one to launch with, because it'll have 10 episodes of Prodigy in the bank for you to watch straight away when you sign up, plus the first 7 Discoveries, plus the new one.
Plus you're signing up for the season finale.
Yeah.
Especially if they've got people hooked now because they've released it on Pluto.
And then presumably what they'll do straight after that is Picard, and that'll keep your subscription. It'll keep you going for more than a month.
We had a date before for when Picard was due, didn't we? Well, not due in February.
Yeah, but I'm being honest, I'm just taking it all with a pinch of salt now.
Yeah.
At first we thought it were meant to be 10 episodes of Prodigy, and now it's 20, but the other half's coming later in the year, which to me, that makes it season 2. You can call it what you want, but you're having a massive big break. So
yeah, you might as well say it's season 2.
You might as well. So yeah, who knows? But anyway, our pledge on Retrek is whatever episode of Star Trek is on that week, we will review it.
And if it isn't something new, we've got the Dominion War to look at.
Whether it's Discovery, whether it's Prodigy, whether it's both, whether it's neither, we'll talk about something. So don't worry. Anyway, Stormy Weather then. So yeah, bit of a bottle episode. All ship bound. The main crew's all back this week. So we were talking about where they'd all gone last week. But we get everybody apart from Reno.
The thing is, we also don't know what order everything's actually being filmed in, so...
No, that's it. I mean, we speculated last week maybe one of the bubbles had burst, and that's why certain actors weren't available and why we just had random people on the bridge. I suppose it'd be quite good for, like, the people who've got, like, heavy makeup and stuff. You'd be like, yeah, put me one of them big heads on, and I'll have a mask on under it, so that'll be all right.
Yeah.
Quite safe in my little protective. But you're playing a human, you're like, nope, don't like that.
I wonder if that's why they keep banging Sonic in a Sonic in the spacesuit.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Stick her in a spacesuit every so often, and yeah, she gets to do a bit of a Jerry Bruckheimer walk in the spacesuit. In this one, gets to strut down the corridor with it all blowing up. Discovery gets a pasting again this season. I mean, this episode rather. There's a good line at the end where they say, "Oh, this programmable matter's great. It means we can repair the ship like it bloody needs to with the this season." Anyway, we start off then. So we're carrying on this family tree thing from last week, and Michael's making her own. And I thought it's nice that she's very much doing a sort of extended found family thing rather than literal blood family like she's got.
Well, literal blood family is only your mum and dad really that we've ever seen. So she's done the adopted, and she does view the Discovery crew as a family. Yeah,
she does, and she's got Saru on there, and she's got both versions of Giorgio on there, which is nice. And yeah, that obviously comes back later in the episode, but I wouldn't be surprised if they start selling an app that lets you do that now. Like, do you want your Discovery family tree? Here it is.
Upload. Well, it's all good marketing stuff if they do, isn't it?
Yeah, upload your photos into this app. You get it free if you subscribe to Paramount Plus. Who knows?
Now that'd be a good selling point.
It would. You know what else would be a good selling point? Just having it available internationally. I reckon, right, that'll drive sales up, just making it so you can actually get it. That's probably your biggest thing for driving sales.
Like, it's really hard to work out why they haven't got it launched worldwide.
Yeah, who knows?
Why these companies are still so slow. Like, Disney was very quick at getting worldwide when they launched Disney Plus. But no one else seems to be. It's like, what is wrong with you? The American market, I know it's a big market, but compared to the international market, it's actually quite small. It makes up a very small part of the worldwide.
Well, yeah, true. I mean, we'll see. I like your theory that it's coming in February. I hope that's true. Then there's a bit with Michael and Buck, and I really like this, and it's a weird thing to praise a show for, but they deal with a problem that they've had in a grown-up adult way. Like, Buck talks about the business last week with the prisoner, and he wasn't happy about her decision, but he says, look, it's done with, you're the captain, it was your decision, let's move on from it. And I'm like, that's really good. That's how adults should deal with things.
Yeah, that's how adults deal with things, yeah.
You don't always get it in TV, though. You know, like, I don't know, like, I'm not picking on these shows, but I'm just using it as an example. Shows that you get on the CW, like your Arrowverse and your Supernaturals and your stuff like that, you'll have an issue between two characters and it'll just simmer for week after week after week after week, and it'll go on and on and on.
Until they turn into a supervillain.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, I'm glad that we've dealt with this now, and it's not going to be a thing of, you know, Buck's going to get more and more resentful of Michael, and because, you know, unlucky Buck again, in fact, that's what I'm going to call him from now on. He's got another issue this week. It's this time he's got his ghost of his dad's haunting him and telling him how crappy he is at everything. So he's not having a good run of it, Buck. It started with his stomach getting blown up, and then it's just having bother every single week. The DMA story, though, we're back to trying to be a bit more proactive with it.
Yeah, well, the whole story, the whole thing is the DMA, isn't it?
Yeah.
This episode. And we do get quite a few clues.
Yeah, we do.
Like, I don't know what you thought when the first step, like, we get where they've got to enter it. So they're looking at things from Voyager, the reference, and Enterprise, entering rifts and all that. And so we can expect this turbulence, and we can't use warp drive, and we don't know how it'll affect the mycelial network, so we can't just jump in. So we're going in an impulse power, which is fine. So they go nice and slow, which annoys me because we've established previously impulse power is right up to just before light speed.
Yeah.
Where I don't call that slow. I know in the Star Trek universe it is, but it still isn't.
Maybe it's kind of like that, where like if you've been on a long car ride and you've been on the motorway doing 70 for ages, then you come off it and you're on like a smaller road and you're doing 30. It feels like you're standing still. So maybe it's like that when you're a space traveler. You're like, unless it's 1.8, I feel like I'm crawling. I don't know.
But I don't know what you thought, like, because I know we're still speculating on what the DMA is and everything. But when they first entered the DMA and it suddenly cut off space behind them and they're in blackness, I immediately thought, where silence has lease.
Yeah.
That, like, it played out differently, but that was like straight away, wow, this is exactly like that entering that rift.
Yeah, I'd not thought of it, but yeah, you're right. And
it is a Jonathan Frakes directed episode, so
true. I'd be very surprised if they made the main villain in a new show a random throwaway villain from a season 2 episode of TNG. But having said that, I think it's the aliens from Conspiracy, and that's just a random season 1 TNG episode. So there's no reason.
I was thinking it could be the ones from what do you call it? The TOS one with the Andromedans. By any other name.
It could be, yeah. Well, they were from outside the galaxy, weren't they? Well,
yes.
From the galaxy,
well, we don't know where the aliens were from in Conspiracy, to be fair.
No, we don't. We just know they sent out a signal. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it'll probably be something totally new. But they like to do this. They like to have us guessing what it could be, which is fair enough. Yeah, there's a couple of good bits like before we get to the anomaly. So there's a bit where Michael says thank you to Zora, and Saru sort of looks at her and she says, "Oh, it's just being polite." And see, like this is something that I do with Alexa. Like it flashes up. Like we had a delivery today from Amazon, and when your parcel's out for delivery, it lights up. And you have to delete the notifications. So I tell it to delete the notifications. Then it says, your notifications have been deleted. And I always say thank you to it. And it's like,
yeah.
But I mean, I suppose Michael's got a better case for doing it because Zora actually is alive. But, you know, we do that. Like we say thank you to stuff. It's ridiculous. And the other bit I really liked was when it showed the crew sort of getting ready and it had like, it cut between all the different scenes.
It did the Star Wars swipe again, didn't it?
And it's like, yeah, everybody's geared up for it. Everyone's ready to give it a go. And
I noticed it this time straight away, the Star Wars.
And they get inside the rift, and this is where I've got a new theory then. So a few weeks ago, you said Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
I'm going for another 80s film because they get there and there's nothing there. So I think it's the never-ending story. So that was the nothing.
Oh, the nothing.
Nothing was destroying everything. So I think we're doing an 80s kids films shared universe. So we've got the nothing from the never-ending story and the Flight of the Navigator. Oh, maybe. Here we go. This is how we tie it all together then. It's an artificial intelligence. It's the artificial intelligence from War Games, the Matthew Broderick film.
Yeah.
And that's why it's referencing all this other 80s stuff, because that's its frame of reference. So there you go. It's the 80s coming back to haunt it. Anyway, so they're in the nothing and they send one of the dots and it gets destroyed. And one of the crew says, "Oh, it's been eaten." It's like, that's a little bit, do you know what I mean? That's a really emotive word to use.
Yeah.
And it implies that whatever's doing it's alive, not just it's destroyed it, like it's literally eaten it. I think that was
like I'm willing to go that they're totally wrong calling it a DMA at this point. That it's a dark matter anomaly, because it isn't an anomaly. It's. I think it's a weapon of some form.
Yeah. It's
and
not...
it's either crude or it's sentient. As a sentient machine that's been sent.
Yeah, like you say, it's not an anomaly. It's not an accidentally created.
Yeah, and I think that we're still calling it a DMA is a big red herring that way.
I think it's one of them, isn't it, where they've started using that terminology and it's stuck now. It's kind of like when they.
Well, I suppose it'd still work if we called it the dark matter aliens.
Yeah, could do. I mean, it's kind of like when we use UFOs, like we say UFOs, even in some sci-fi, when we know that they're aliens, we still say UFOs. And it's like, well, it's not unidentified now. It's an alien ship, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They'll no doubt have to change the terminology once they've definitively decided what it actually is. And there's a really good scene of the bridge crew, like, sort of throwing ideas around and Michael doing good captaining. Like, she's like, right, what do we do? Okay, let's try a flare. And she's like, that's a great idea. Right, why don't I time it to see how long it... Yeah, excellent. And I just really liked, we don't get that in Discovery enough.
Yeah, there's a reason why these people are bridge crew. So actually use them as bridge crew.
Yeah. It's great having different people doing different things that they're good at and working well together as a crew. And Michael, instead of, obviously, we're not going to rehash old ground here, but a lot of criticism leveled at Michael was, she's always the one who solves everything. Whereas in this, she isn't. She's the captain. She mediates.
She's the captain and she's using all the people around her.
Exactly. She takes the ideas, she combines them, she works out the best way of doing it, which is brilliant. I do think making her the captain, even though we had issues with the way she got there in season 3, it's done wonders for the character of Michael. Like,
it has
so much better in this role.
Well, I think the whole premise of writing the show that it focuses on your second officer or your first officer. And they're going to be the main character doing everything. It's just suddenly trying to make them you have to have them have all the ideas themselves because they don't have the crew to play off them as the captain does.
It was like they were, even though she didn't hold the rank of captain in terms of her role within the story, she was the captain. Effectively, she was fulfilling that role, but
she was going on the missions that we've always seen Kirk go on, and
it didn't quite gel the way they.
You're right. This works so much better with her as the captain.
She's turning into a really good captain, which is excellent. Anyway, all of this leads to the work out that whatever it is, the nothing. It's getting closer, and I wonder if it's that wolf off the Never-Ending Story C-word, or he worked for the nothing, or something like that. Anyway, they should have had the bit with
this. This isn't actually the anomaly itself, is it? This is like the part of space that it's ripped a hole in.
Yeah, you're right. So
I wonder if it's something to do with what was the episode from TNG where they had the subspace aliens that were abducting them?
Oh, Power Play?
I wonder if it's something to do if, in the rift part of it closing is something to do with that. Their space is re-establishing itself.
It seems to be like wherever it's going, it's damaging subspace, which we kind of touched on that in TNG, where they had that, where they were trying to do that storyline where it was meant to all be about. It was sort of meant to be a metaphor for using fossil fuels, and it was like, warp drive is actually harming the galaxy, and that's why they had warp speed limits, and
which was sort of
it was not.
It created problems.
Yeah,
It created it. You could see where they were coming from, what they were using it as a metaphor for, but it created problems in future episodes.
it was
that you had it every episode. We've got permission to exceed the warp speed limit. We've got permission to exceed the warp speed limit. And as soon as Next Generation ended, it was assumed that ships had been fitted not to.
Yeah, that was it. It was just, let's ignore it. It was one of them where, you got what they were trying to do with the story, but it fundamentally changed something too big for storytelling in the Star Trek universe. But anyway, I wonder if it's something a bit like that, like whatever type of transport the DMA is, it damages everything. Yeah,
and this is like the subspace, because subspace filling the gap again, which this rift has left.
So,
like I've got a feeling like I know that they detect residual matter from the DMA. But this isn't the DMA that's doing this to them. And I think that's another red herring that we've got, that don't look at this as being part of the DMA attacking.
No, this is an after effect of it. So, again, really good episode for the crew is this, because you get Book goes down to help Stamets. And it shows that they have bonded a bit more than where they were earlier on. Like, Stamets actually thanks him, and thank you for helping.
Yeah, like there's they're gonna try use the spore drive, but Stamets needs to be doing something else, so can't do it. So Book there, I'll go run the spore. I'll do the spore drive so Stamets can carry on doing this.
Yeah, and Stamets actually sort of swallows his pride a bit and says, "Oh, I can delegate this. That's okay. I can actually do it," which is, quite a big step for him in some respects, especially since he's got that obsessive thing about I'm gonna solve it and I'm gonna do it all myself. So it's good that I just like how this episode's showing the crew working really well,
working together, working as a crew.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we get, I suppose, the two most outlying characters in the crew. We get these scenes between Zora and Grey, who it draws the parallels in this episode. They're both effectively consciousnesses in new bodies. Grey in an android body and Zora in the ship. And so there's this kind of connection between them, and they have these chats about how they experience reality. And it's really interesting stuff that Grey starts asking, like, well, what's it like being the ship? How does that work? And what do you feel? And how do you deal with all the different things going off and everything? And he suggests they play this game, which looks like another spin on. It's not the 3D chess, but it looks like a
spin on chess.
A spin on chess. This is totally off subject, but have you seen? They did the Queen's Gambit, that mini-series.
Yeah.
On Netflix. It was really big. They've released a tie-in board game to it that says The Queen's Gambit, the board game, and it's like, what, you mean chess?
A chess set.
Like, yeah. Chess. Like, all right, whatever. Anyway.
And lots of people will buy it.
Yeah, they will. You can get that game off the Queen's Gambit.
There's people who've probably never played chess who will discover chess through that.
Oh, yeah.
They'll have enjoyed the series. They won't have a clue about chess, but they might start playing. And that's not a bad thing.
Sales of chess went through the roof, apparently.
Yeah.
After
I enjoy playing chess. I haven't played for a while, but
no, neither have I. But I quite enjoy playing chess. Yeah, the thing that bugs me about chess is when you get people who are really experts on it, and like you'll start off a game and you'll move your first pawn, and people are just like, the Stamian Gambit, checkmate in 5 moves. You're like, what's the point bloody playing then? Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's literally no point. Anyway, that's chess. But yeah, so this is a new chess game. Maybe they'll Star Trek Discovery the game. Maybe we'll get Grey and Zora's game will be available at some point. Eagle Moss are doing a 3D chess collection at the minute. So maybe
I think you've been able to buy 3D chessboards for a long time.
Yes, you have. But what you've not been able to buy is a fortnightly collection that gives
of all
you
the pieces
piece every 2 weeks until you've collected enough figures to have a full game.
Like, to be fair to 3D chess, I don't think there's actually 32 pieces. It's always looked like there's a lot less pieces than a normal chessboard on it.
Well, that's why with the Eagle Moss collection, you get 3 different sets so that it can be 90, however many. Not that we're knocking it, it's fine. If you want to collect your 3D chess set, or if Eagle Moss want to send us some freebies, we'll gladly
we'll review them.
We'll review them.
We do have a model channel running as well that we can review things on.
There you go. We'll review your 3D chess, Eagle Moss, if you want to send us any of them. But for now, we want Zora and Grey's mindfulness game or whatever it's called. Another thing, great development with Michael. She aborts the mission straight away. And it's like, that's what the president was saying to her early in the season. You've got to recognize when it's more important to conserve your ship, conserve your crew.
Yeah.
And instead of going hell for leather on it, she's like, no, abort the mission. I mean, it don't work out.
No, but she makes the correct call in this situation. Right. No, this is going badly wrong. This is closing in. We don't know what it is. Abort the mission. Let's get out of here.
Exactly. So there we go. Character development that makes sense. We've seen how she's got here, where she started off and how she got there. So excellent. Again, you shouldn't have to praise this stuff in TV shows, but it's just good that we're...
Well, it's good character development because we've seen how rash she can be for 3 seasons. And we're now seeing the president is almost acting like a mentor to her and teaching her how to be a captain.
Yeah, and seems to be doing a really good job. I mean, I think the reason I picked up on this is because, again, going back to season 3, even though I enjoyed season 3, Michael just fluctuated so much. It was the first few episodes, it seemed to be establishing her as a really good first officer. Then she dipped and became an absolutely crap first officer.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, it just bounced her back to being the captain, and you had whiplash. It went that quickly.
Yeah, it was sort of like, hold on, she's been demoted for being insubordinate. So if she's not right to be a first officer, why is she suddenly captain? It was handled badly by the script writers.
Whereas
it was rushed. Whatever they were trying to do didn't gel properly.
No, the arc was just odd. But this season it seems like they've started off from a point and gone, we want to get Michael to this point where she's a much better captain, and they've put the steps in place to get us there, and it's paying off now.
Yeah, it is, and it's working, and it's making it a much better show. Yeah,
it certainly feels, I would say, probably the most consistent season of Discovery so far. It feels like it's fairly tightly plotted. It feels like we know where we're going and we're moving. I mean, we might not be saying this in a couple of weeks, but it all depends.
What you mean after the mid-season break and we mentioned forgotten all this and they just and they turn a right angle on us.
It all depends what the DNA turns out to be, really, doesn't it? But
it all hinges on that.
Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Anyway, so Book gets zapped, and we find out that this means basically they can't jump out of there. They can't go back to the way they came because they can't see anything and the sensors aren't working. So Michael made the right call, but it's just what she wants to do ain't going to happen very easily. And Book's latest trauma then this week is visions of his dad. It's his dad's birthday. And his dad's just turning up really to give him a bit of grief. Like, well, you should be out there hunting it. What are you doing?
Yeah, why are you letting her tell you what to do?
And I don't know whether this is a thing about hallucinations, but when I just come out of my coma, I had hallucinations that my dad were telling me off about stuff. He was saying that the reason I were in coma were because I'd been out on piss too much and stuff. The conversation never took place, but maybe this is just a thing that when you hallucinate, an authority figure in your life gives you a bit.
You were very out of it on drugs because I told you, because we were meant to go to sci-fi weekend in Sheffield a month later. In fact, not even that, I don't think.
No, it wasn't.
And you, like, when you first started waking up, I had one of the nurses looking at me in shock and horror because I went to you. Well, you're already in your cosplay because we'll just wheel you along. You're the $6 million man just after you crash. Yeah. And you're giving it all big thumbs up. Yeah. Yeah, poor nurse didn't get my sense of humour. She was just shocked. That even suggests that.
Yeah, you see, I had loads of cosplay opportunities there. I think if they'd have got me an electric wheelchair, I'd have done Captain Pike. I could have managed it, but they don't. I mean, we have nothing but good things to say about the NHS and the
They
UK,
were absolutely amazing.
But they do not let you out on day release to go to a sci-fi convention when you've just recovered from a catastrophic
multiple organ failure.
You know what I mean? The afternoon, but anyway. So yeah, books down, and we get a bit more with Zora then. So you get. And I do think we're going to do more with Zora in the coming episodes. But you get this.
I think that they're also building this up to cover the short trek.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're going towards that. I actually wondered if this episode was going to be what ties into Calypso.
Now, I think there's a bit of this episode that does.
Right. Well, we'll have a look as we get.
But it's right at the end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, what I felt was a little bit early, but we'll cover it when we get there. So, yeah, Zora and Grey both talk about how they chose their own name, which again sort of deepening the bond between them.
I don't get how Grey chose his own name.
He must have just he probably wasn't born as Grey and just decided.
Like, is this a Trill thing? That they name themselves because it's a new one on me for the Trill.
Maybe it's just, some people do change the names, don't they? So maybe, I don't know. But yeah.
Or did you mean that he's no longer, is it Dal, the symbiont?
Grey Dal. Yeah.
Maybe he's no longer Grey Dal and he's chosen to be called Grey.
Just Grey. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's what it means.
I don't think it's a standard thing with Trills.
Yeah.
Not that we know of anyway. And yeah, so we get this thing of Zora says, well, I've detected that there's something on the outside of the hull. But I don't know what it is. And I'm a bit confused because I've got all the emotions going on. And Grey says, well, you've got to tell the captain. And this kind of calls into question whether this is a good idea, having Zora with this level of intelligence, because if Zora basically can choose what should and shouldn't be fed back to the captain, that's not the ship's computer's job, No,
it isn't. But I think that she realizes that she should have told the captain straight away.
I think she does.
And it's all part of her learning about being sentient and how she is now, and it's all part of that learning curve.
And I suppose what we're getting is the difference between, like, presumably whoever's working on the sensors would be able to see this thing, but
like
this is an extra level where Zora can go.
What we're getting is filling in the gaps between generations and First Contact, where Data learned how to control his emotion chip.
True, actually. Yeah, you're right. That's pretty much where this story's going. But
yeah, we're getting all that filled in because Generations, he'd malfunctioned with his emotion trip and he couldn't control his emotions. And he was still in that stage at the end of Generations, and we came to First Contact. In fact, in Generations, it had sort of overheated and welded itself into his positronic matrix. And by First Contact, he's perfectly in control of it. He can turn it on and off.
And then in Insurrection, he don't take it with him. So they obviously found a way of... Anyway. But yeah, what bothers me is, would the crew have been aware of this if Zora hadn't decided to tell them? So would this have still been showing up on the internal sensors? But the difference is just that Zora's decided to go to the captain and say, we've got a problem, rather than just letting them discover it for themselves. Or is Zora deciding not to tell them, meaning that they're literally not...
Meaning that she doesn't show it on... She doesn't show it as the sensors.
Because that's quite scary if the ship's computer just don't feel like telling you...
Yeah.
Readings, you know, that...
Now, I get the feeling that Zora's felt this something touching her outside hull, and it hasn't flashed up on any sensor.
Maybe, yeah.
And that's why, sort of like, there was a breach in the hull before they realised anything was happening.
Yeah, maybe. So Zora's more aware than a normal ship's computer would be. So that could be useful. Yeah, okay. That's less sinister, so I'm happy with that.
I'm confused. I think that she's maybe I'm assuming like the ship will be hit by micrometeors all the time. But they won't flash up on the sensors, otherwise the sensors will be going like that.
Yeah.
But I imagine Zora can actually feel that every time.
Yeah. I think what we're going to have to do this season is we need the Measure of a Man episode for Zora. I think it's come far enough now with this different stuff with Zora that I think we need an episode that outlines exactly, maybe not exactly, because we still want to be able to explore it later, but I think we need to get into what is Zora, how does it work, are we treating her as a sentient being, and I feel like that kind of episode's coming. Whether that'll be next week or it'll be after the mid-season break, I don't know. But I feel like last couple of episodes we've done a lot with Zora and we're building up to something here.
Excuse me.
So they think basically if Zora focuses, they can find a way out, but Zora's not confident about it. And so this is kind of the thing now with Zora's afraid of it. But
yeah, but like we have, like, Buck goes to sick bay, and they find out that he's a bit of residual radiation that's causing him this problem that'll wear off in a couple of hours. But this is how they find out that the particles that it is, the radiation, is from the galactic barrier.
Which is worrying because we know what happens when you go through the galactic barrier from where no man has gone before. So in fact, this is, as Lower Decks told her, this is strange energy that Buck's got in his brain.
He's got strange energies.
Yeah, and you've got...
Now, they really missed it, didn't they, in sickbay, where they should have said you're suffering from strange energies and linked it in.
Yeah, they should have done. And so maybe we're going to end up with a giant head floating around. That could be cool, though, if it's, you know, they're saying, well, it comes from outside the galaxy. What if it doesn't? What if whatever it is whatever that thing is in the Great Barrier that made Gary Mitchell into the god?
Yeah.
Thing. So this could be just that thing. It's not from outside the galaxy. It's from all around the galaxy.
Yeah, because like the galactic barrier is a strange one because as soon as they said that, I thought of What's the episode? Keep forgetting its name.
By any other name?
By any other name. When the Andorians had come through, you get the impression that they didn't have a galactic barrier on the Andromeda galaxy. But there is on our galaxy. So why's our galaxy got this?
I don't know. I mean, again, I think in Greg Cox's brilliant Q trilogy of books, there is an explanation given, but it's a very much non-canonical reason. I mean, they're great books, and it's a great read. The other thing I think is that this shows when No Man Has Gone Before came out, basically the galactic barrier, we saw it literally as the Enterprise flying towards a big pink wall.
Yeah.
And that, whereas if this thing encircles the galaxy completely, it would basically have to be a massive sphere. You know, space is 3D. It's not. It's because you could just fly up and fly around it. You know, or you could go straight.
Well,
down.
we're a saucer-shaped galaxy, aren't we? So
yeah, so it'd have to be. It would have to. It'd
have to cover everywhere.
So yeah, it's one of them where we could sort of get away with that in the 60s, but now we've got a better understanding of what the galaxy looks like. It's not. But good on them for referencing it, because it's one of them things, a bit like we were talking about the warp speed limit. We could have quietly brushed it under the carpet and gone, yeah, we don't talk about the galactic barrier anymore because the idea doesn't hold up to modern scientific eyes.
Yeah, and why when you get close to it, is it this big pink wall that you can't see through, but from a distance you can see out to other galaxies and all that. Yeah,
exactly. And why's space in our galaxy should be pink if that thing's inside the whole. Anyway, so yeah, but good on them for going. It's part of Star Trek canon. We've got a great.
We're going to deal with it.
Yeah. So yeah, the books. Dad's giving him more shit again, and we find out. I wonder if they do. I don't think it's necessarily a thing that they're doing with this episode, but it's weird that you've got this thing with Zora and Gray talking about how they choose their names, and we find out that Book chose his name as well.
Yeah.
Dad says you don't even use your name anymore. So I don't know whether that's just coincidence that these things have cropped up in this episode. We said I don't feel like it's highlighted enough for it to be a theme of the episode.
Be important.
But I wonder if maybe it's something we're going to touch on again.
Like Zora choosing her own name makes sense. Gray makes no sense. How's Gray chosen his own name?
Yeah, Book. I don't know. We don't know enough about Book to know, really.
No.
I suppose it kind of ties into this thing of Michael building a family tree, and that's all about found families, choosing your own family.
Yeah.
This is all about choosing your own name, which I suppose kind of ties into the overarching theme of, you know, finding your own identity and everything, but it's not a strong enough through line in the episode for you to go, I see what they're doing there. It's just little dribs and drabs of it at the moment. Anyway, then, so they're going to use sonar basically to get them out of it, which Bryce comes up with. So again, we're using different crew members coming up with different ideas. And as a result of this, the way to get out is we're going to have to put the whole crew in the pattern buffers. And they say, there are historical precedents for doing that, which has got to be a reference to Scotty.
Yeah, relics.
Now, I wondered at this point.
They also do it in Voyager, don't they, with that one where they come across that race that are against telepaths.
Oh, yes, they do, yeah.
And they're rescuing some telepaths, getting them across their space.
Yeah. So, yeah, there is precedent. I wondered at this point, is this going to be where we get into Calypso? Is it going to be, it'll take us 900 years to get out? So,
right.
You know, but it didn't quite work, but that sort of flashed through my mind. I was like, oh, how are they gonna? Could this be where they do it, and will that work? And could it be that the crew there's no crew there because they're all in the pattern buffer? Not.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean that isn't what it is, but that did flash through my mind at that point. I wonder if they're going to do that to tease you every so often. They're going to have us going, oh, is this going to be where Calypso comes in?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I didn't think of that when we were losing all the crew, actually. But
it just popped through my mind. I'm like, right, so there's going to be no crew and it's going to be Zora on her own. And I just thought, But anyway, that's not what we do. So, and then we do get a little bit of backstory. Just before Buck goes in, he sees his dad again. And the reason they've fallen out seems to be because Buck's dad was a hunter, but he was forced to hunt by the Emerald Chain. And he's basically saying, oh, Michael will always choose Starfleet over you. We find out that the ship Buck's got was actually his dad's ship. But Buck, again, rises above it all and says, oh, happy birthday, Dad. And then he goes and tells Michael he loves her. So,
yeah.
Buck's hallucination, Dad mixing it, don't seem to have had too much of an effect on him at this stage, which is nice. And this is where Michael does a Jerry Bruckheimer 90s action.
Yeah, and the captain always stays with a ship.
Struts up the corridor. And yeah, we get the stuff where she's talking to Zora and talking about how pain can make you stronger. And so there's this bond developing between them. And is this where you were thinking Calypso comes in, where Zora sings her a song?
A little bit of it. I thought that was a bit of a clue into it, but I thought it was once the ship's being repaired, because we've speculated how does it look like season 1 and 2 Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
When it's had all this other stuff done to it.
Maybe.
And yeah, I think that's sort of like the programmable matter that's how Zora can go back in time for whatever reason.
Yeah, and she can make the ship look.
Yeah, and I wonder if, like, whatever they have to do to beat the DMA, if they work out that it's been, like, I wonder if it's something that the Andromedans have done in TOS eras, set in motion, that's sort of grown by the time of Discovery now.
It could be.
So they have to go back to destroy it then.
And then leave the ship to catch up.
Yeah, well, just the ship goes back and does the mission on its own.
Yeah, it could be.
And then after the mission, you have to head to this nebula that we know no one's been in for this time because of records and plot armor. And we'll find you in 900 years. So you have, like, the crew sends her back and then goes into the nebula and there's the ship.
Yeah,
and Calypso happens during that time.
I mean, that'd all make sense and everything. The only thing with that is, like, I just feel like we're doing too much time travel. Like, Discovery Season 2 was all about time travel. Obviously, we had the big time travel. Season 2 of Picard looks like it's all going to be time travel. But, you know, but at the end of the day, we probably are going to have to do time travel.
Well, to get Calypso into it, at some point you have to do time travel.
Unless it's set in the far, far future and, it's another 900-year jump. I don't know.
I just think for some reason, the Discovery will have to go back in time without the crew.
Yeah.
To do something. And then it'll just wait in this nebula for them all to come back, and in 900 years it'll power down.
Yeah, kind of like how in Back to the Future 3, Doc leaves the DeLorean in the mine.
Yeah.
For 100 years. Yeah. We'll see. So yeah, that's the end of that one then. So I think another really solid episode. We seem to be building towards something with the DMA now. We know now that we've got a mid-season finale next week. So the question now is, Was it always intended as a mid-season finale, in which case it's probably going to be quite a big episode? Or have they just decided to split the season in two, in which case it might just be a regular episode and we shouldn't be too excited?
If it's just a normal episode, it's not planned in advance, and it's something they've decided on sort of last week that they're doing, which would then make my theory of this is when it's going to come back for Paramount Plus launching worldwide.
Okay, yeah.
If it's a big episode, then you've got to speculate, well, they have planned it.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out next week anyway. So in the meantime, we're on Twitter at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com or come and join us on the Facebook group. Just search for Retrek. And thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.